What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Black Financial Podcast. I am your host, Lawrence Watkins. I'm the founder and CEO of Great Black Speakers Bureau. I'm also the president and chief operating officer of the Black Business School. And today we have a very special guest. We're here with Shannette Prince. And Shannette is the founder and CEO of Africa on My Back. They are a socially conscious fashion brand that provides African print backpacks and accessories and study abroad opportunities for brilliant Black boys. You can find out more about her company at africaonmyback.com. That's africaonmyback.com. Today, we're talking about how she brings out Black brilliance through her educational accessories. And you see all of the African print backpacks in the background of her screen. So make sure you check her out. So Shannette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Today is day 3 of this virtual school, virtual learning. And so it's an adjustment.
Well, we'll ask about that too a little later. But to start off the interview, can you tell the audience a little bit more about Africa on My Back and how you've gotten to this point in your career of running this company?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I had always wanted to travel to Africa. I always wanted to go to the motherland. And in 2016, I had the opportunity to travel one summer to Ghana. And I fell in love with I fell in love with the country. Just like I wanted to stay actually. I went there, transformed me, and the following March I brought my son. So I was there that summer, and then in March I brought my son, and at the time he was 14, and I just saw like this whole other person come alive, right? Like there were no boundaries. He was alive. He was lively. He was cracking jokes. He was trying to cook the food. He was doing a lot. And this was his first time out of the country. And he had also, he was on the continent of Africa. So I said, well, what could I do? I know that the African continent, I was there with a brother who had repatriated. And, he was saying that there's so many opportunities to do business. There's so many opportunities. And I was like, well, what could I do? What could I do? What could I do? And at the time, I was working for a charter school and I was doing fundraising. And so I know that there was a need for backpacks because every year there's all of these back to school drives and backpack drives and just all types of things with backpacks. And I just thought to myself, how cool would it be to have all of the Black children in Houston, where we are, to walk to school on the first day carrying Africa on their back? And I was like, oh my gosh, like backpacks. We can do backpacks. Because backpacks are things that you can carry throughout the year. You can carry a backpack every day. Unlike clothing, you really are not wearing African apparel every day. Depending on where you work, you might have to tone it down. But backpacks or little pencil pouches or small accessories like that, that make a statement, and they're bold, but they're not taking away from everything else you have going on with your outfit. I said, I want to do that. So we started with backpacks, and we've been going since we launched our website in 2017, and we've been full steam ahead ever since then.
That's an amazing story. So what do you think it was about, I guess, the continent of Africa and that trip that really resonated with your son? Like, why did that trip just, change the way that he felt, leaving the country?
I think for him, because one, it was his first time out of the country, and then to go to a place where you are now the majority, and to be at the University of Ghana and to play basketball with the basketball team, to go to the slave dungeons and to hear that history. I think he was, and this is me speaking for him, I think it was just a sense of pride, and something that, in schools they talk about enslaved Africans, they talk about slavery, but it's always from a deficit, and so for him to go to the continent and see that, oh my gosh, you stole people, like you all stole real people who came from this lush green, beautiful place. I think he was able to put two and two together, and just the amount of pride that he has when he talks about it, is phenomenal.
How does that make you feel, seeing your son show that level of, I guess, consciousness around the continent of Africa, and then his transformation coming back to the United States after the trip?
I feel a sense of pride. I'm thankful that he at a young age was able to make that trip. And just to know, so when we came back and he went back to school, just to be able to share his experience with his teachers, um, his teachers, his black teachers who had never been, right? And so they're now talking to him about, well, tell me more, and what should I do when I go? Like, he became a leader at that point, because he had done something that none of the other students had had the opportunity, and quite frankly, any of the adults at his school had had the opportunity to do. So he was able to share his experience with them, and to see him hold like little workshops, or to be asked to talk about his experience. And at this point now, today, he's 18. He's gone twice now. I have a 12-year-old, and he went for the first time in March. And just they're talking about the continent of Africa from a firsthand experience. It's not something that they read in a textbook. No, they're talking about, I was there, the heat, the food, the people, the cultures, the clothing. And for them to have that conversation at such a young age, I just feel like, the sky is the limit, because you can't tell them anything differently than what they've seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't pull the wool over their eyes. You can't tell them, oh no, you shouldn't go there because the people are starving, or the people living, like, you can't tell them that. And this is something that they learned at 14 and 12. So I can only imagine, as they continue to travel and go to other countries and, learn and study, how they'll be more powerful beyond what I ever, would ever thought about.
Yeah, I think that's interesting in terms of, I guess, training up the next generation and providing them with those experiences at a younger age, in terms of 14, and I believe you say your younger son is 12. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and providing them those opportunities. But I think it's also interesting in terms of your pivot as well. So you came back and said, "I must start something. I'm going to start something," based on, I guess, that particular experience. So, are you currently doing this full time, or is this like a side hustle, or how's that going?
No, this is full time. So when I
Mm,
got back, I came back, and so I launched in March, and I think I left my full time job in June. And I was like, I'm gonna make this work. Like,
mhm,
whatever we got to do, this is it. And a lot of that was because I had become disillusioned with the nonprofit industry.
mm,
And so I was working as a fundraiser, and we're raising funds. And when I went to Ghana and I saw all of, they have all these NGOs that are over there on the continent. Everybody's raising money for this and doing this. And I was like, do they need? There was really like a parallel moment for me. And I thought about Blacks here in the States, and I thought about Africans on the continent. And I said to myself, do they need another NGO, or do they just really need access to capital? Like, they have the potential, they have the crafts. Do they need an NGO, or do they just need, do my makers just need me to say, I need, 200,000 backpacks, and they become self-sufficient and they become sustainable? And it's the same thing that I feel like, businesses here in the States, do they need, you know, do they need charity, or do they need the opportunity to do what they know how to do already? Can you just get the business loan just like every other business and do what you need to do?
Now that's interesting. Now, did you have a lot of savings saved up when you quit your job, or like, talk about that a little bit for people who may be thinking about quitting their job to start their, full-time entrepreneurial venture?
Oh yeah, so I did have quite a bit saved. I'm a saver by nature. And so what I did was I said, okay, I know that I had started paring down all of my expenses, moved into a smaller place just to save more. And I gave myself 6 months. I said, I'm gonna do this in 6 months. And then if something else comes up that I can do contract wise, some nonprofits in Houston reached out to me and said, hey, would you mind doing some contract work for us? I said, it's sure, I can do that, because it's not going to take away from me. And it was still in the same vein of, it was economic development, business development. So it really helped me grow, and it put me at tables that I, wouldn't necessarily be in.
I think that's interesting. So I find it interesting that you are just taking the supply from. So it sounds like the backpacks are produced in Africa from, I guess, what country do you mainly work with?
Ghana.
So you mainly work with Ghana. Okay, so they're produced from, I guess, Ghanaians. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
So that's interesting. So talk about import and export in terms of your experience with that. And did you have any of that type of experience beforehand in terms of importing and exporting, I guess, different, other types of apparel or something with previous roles, previous companies? And if not, how did you learn how to do it?
So no experience whatsoever and still learning along the way. One of the things I did do, so I spoke about my friend Samara who had repatriated. So for a few months, I was able to have him send me shipments, and that worked out really well. He knew some of the makers, and then when I went, I'd gone back again, and I said I needed to make the business connections myself. And I found my own makers. We started with, different plans, and we made adjustments to the backpacks. I was able to provide them with some materials that were made here in the States just to, make the backpacks a little bit more durable. And so we started out with USPS, Ghana Post. They would just ship over to me through USPS. And then, I lost merchandise. I lost the whole shipment one time. And I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So from there, I started using Delta Airlines. So we would do air cargo. And even that started to get a little shaky. Some of the products would be wet when they got here, just because they're not taking great care of the cargo. So we've gone from there to working with DHL, and having our products picked up from our makers and shipped directly to us within 3 to 4 days, which is a little bit more expensive. But it gives you peace of mind knowing that everything is insured and it's going to be, I can track it the whole way through. And so now we are once again back because the shipments are getting larger. And when the shipments get larger, DHL again is more expensive. So we're back right now at air cargo, but moving to do shipping by sea, which is something that I have no experience in whatsoever. And so finding other small businesses, to, just to bounce ideas off of, who is your broker, who do you use, that type of thing.
So, okay, shipping from Africa then, or shipping from Ghana, I guess more specifically, talk about any cultural differences in the, I guess, process of scaling up in terms of your business? Because I assume your business has grown in the last 3 years. So how was that scaling up process? And do you notice any cultural differences that had to be overcome when doing business with, I guess, a foreign entity, but still part of the homeland?
Oh yeah, so cultural differences are real. All of my makers are male, and so coming and talking to them, especially when things are not working the way that I want to, I sense pushback. And so we've kind of worked through that. I will say that there's a 5 to 6 hour time difference. So me getting up super early to make sure that I'm available to them, or them staying up late, has caused it hasn't been that challenging. But I will say when the COVID pandemic hit and everything shut down, um, their country was a little bit more stringent when it came to shutting down. So when I say they shut down, like there was no movement. The order came from no movement. So it was really, really challenging for me to get products, from some of my makers. They couldn't get to the markets. The markets were closed, so they couldn't get fabric. Their shops were closed. And so that was vastly different than what we experienced here in the States. And so just kind of, overcoming that and thinking of different ways to maneuver around that. I will say that to me, because over in Ghana, to me, I feel like there's not a lot of stress. Like it's really laid
Mm.
back. Things move at a slower pace. Whereas here, everything is go, 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 go all the time. There's been some adjustments that had to have been made where, I'll say I want to place an order and I need it here in 2 weeks. And they're saying, we can't do that because our people don't work on the weekends, or we just can't turn around that quickly. And so that's been an adjustment for me because I'm used to a fast pace, hey, I call you and I can get it tomorrow, whereas that's not how they work. So just some minor things that I've had to overcome. But I also now, I have um, my manager, my production manager, who's now in Ghana. We've done business together on some other ventures, and so I can just go to him, and he can kind of give me the lay of the land, which has really been helpful.
Now, is your manager, is he African, or is he okay, gotcha. So he's Ghanaian.
He's Ghanaian, yes, he is.
How did you find him?
So in my business group, there was another business owner who Sandy, who she spends 6 months in Ghana and 6 months here in the United States, and so she recommended him to do. I think we were doing a tour. So this past March, we took 14 people over, and I was looking for a tour guide, somebody, and she recommended him. And based on that tour and the planning of that and the implementation, I really enjoyed working with him. And I just, asked, hey, would you be interested? And he said, sure. And he has a team of people, and, he's from there. So he knows when I am, when the price is way too high. Again, We've exchanged large sums of money. And so I have a great deal of respect and trust for him and with
Well,
him.
that's interesting. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit more in terms of just the money that's involved in terms of the shipment, the lost shipment, what types of, transactions, are being made. We don't need to get too deep into your numbers. I don't want to, be putting your numbers out there unless you want to, right? But I just want to know in terms of what this actual business looks like and the impact that you're having both on the suppliers and your customers as well. But before we do that, just want to let everyone know that we're here with Shannette Prince. Shannette is the founder and CEO of Africa on My Back. Africa on My Back is a socially conscious fashion brand that provides African print backpacks and accessories and study abroad opportunities to brilliant Black boys. You can find out more about her company at africaonmyback.com. That's africaonmyback.com. If you guys like this interview, please go ahead and press the thumbs up button. Please share and also subscribe to the Black Financial channel if you'd like to receive more financial content like the content that we're here producing today with Shannette. All right, so Shannette, let's talk, I guess, a little bit about numbers. When you say you lost that shipment, how many backpacks did you lose?
So that shipment, luckily, those were fanny packs. So we have an assortment of products. And so I didn't lose the backpacks, but I will say I lost about 200 fanny packs when the shipment, we just couldn't find it. The post office didn't know where it was. It said that it made it to the post office and, just didn't get it. So I lost about, I'm going to say with 200, I lost about $500 to $700, which wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was, I still needed those products. So then I had to pay for them again.
Yeah,
And
two things, right? Yeah, you needed those products, so you had to pay for them again, right? And then in addition to that, stockouts are more, I guess, of a loss than anything else, where you could have sold that product, but you didn't sell that product, so there was a lost revenue opportunity that a lot of entrepreneurs don't really, calculate because of, I guess, the delay in the supply chain of actually losing that shipment. So yeah, I can see how that would be frustrating and cause you to actually make changes. So when you talk now about your website, that type of thing, and you're doing this full time, what type of scale are we talking in terms of the number of backpacks that you're selling per month? I guess a range will be fine.
yeah. So I'm selling between 200 to 300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just backpacks. So we have messenger bags, we have tote bags. We are just bringing back our fanny packs. So those are seasonal. We do fanny packs. We have laptop cases. So we're constantly adding products. We have earrings to our store, and yeah, but with the backpack being our number one seller. And so between 200 to 300, we're looking to expand that, and the demand is growing. And so that's why I mentioned before that we'll be doing shipping by sea, just because as though it would be more cost effective for me to just order, 10, 15,000 backpacks
Mm-hmm.
instead of constantly placing new orders every other month.
Got you. So talk about, I guess, the economic impact from the supply side in terms of working with your suppliers in Ghana. Have they given you any feedback in terms of like how your business has helped them grow or sustain their families, like that type of thing?
Yeah, so the one who our main maker, he's gotten married, which before he had not, because he was just saying that the market was just it was volatile, and so he knows that he can depend on our shipments to come in. He is expanding his shop, his manufacturing shop, and adding more people. That was one of the things when we started to place larger orders. He was unable to fulfill them as quickly as I needed because he didn't have the people. He didn't have the capital. And so now he's at a point to where if I place an order, I don't have to pay right away, because he now has, the capital. He has the free capital. He has cash flow. So our partnership has helped him. I mean, the last time I was there, we took the 14 people to his shop so that they could shop themselves, so they could buy directly from him. And so I saw some new faces there. So he's expanding, which I'm really excited about. He was talking about even going to back to, where is he from? Because he's from another. He's not from Accra. He's from another city in Ghana. I can't think of the name of it. But he was talking about going back there to have just another shop in the country, which was like, okay, well, that's promising that you will be able to hire more people there, as well as in Accra. And we are working with another maker who we just started working with him. We've started to order some things, but for them, as long as they're able to hire people, they are super excited.
Mm.
The orders, the larger the order, the more the profit, the more people that they can employ. The more people that they can employ, then their kids are going to school, and they can sustain themselves. They
Yeah,
can
that's
sustain.
interesting. That's an interesting thing to think about in terms of profitability and I guess the opportunities for employment. Because if you ask a lot of people in the United States, they'd be like, "Yeah, we made a profit," and you're trying to not employ everybody to actually make that profit, right? But it was interesting you mentioning that about I guess the African culture, and the wanting to employ your I guess friends, family, neighbors, that type of thing, to help the community at large.
Yeah. And I think that for us, we've introduced him to other people who do not, backpacks, not competition, but people who want to make, other various products. And so that has helped him as well. He doesn't have to just be my supplier. If he has the capacity, there are other people who want to do business with him as well. And because they know that I've had, good success with him, they're not starting from scratch. They have a place, a springboard to jump from.
Yeah, let's go deeper and talk about trust. You mentioned that a little bit earlier in terms of how you found your manager. You've done large transactions with that individual. Um, how was that trust, I guess, or with your suppliers and making these transactions of 5, 10, 15, $20,000, I'm assuming, maybe more than that. How has that trust, I guess, been first established, and then what have you done to grow that trust with, I guess, foreign entities in terms of people living in different countries?
Oh, that's a good question. Because trust was like when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to send all of this over there. You know, am I going to get my product? Are they just going to take the money and run? And I will say that all my manufacturers, my suppliers have been recommendations, from people who I consider friends in Ghana. The guy Samari introduced me to another Ghanaian, and that Ghanaian was like, "Hey, well, I know this person. Oh, and I know this person." And so it's been recommendations. It wasn't just me blindly going and be like, "Okay, well, you make this. Hey, I want to help." Like I think I would have had a harder time that way. Um, and I have gone numerous times. And so when I go, I am slowly integrating myself with their families, with them. Like, I want them to know that I'm here for the long haul. Like, you can trust me just as much as I can trust you. So if I say, hey, give me 15 days to pay, you know that I'm going to pay because we've broken bread together. We've sat down, we're WhatsApping each other. Like, it's more than just business. It is truly a partnership, and I tell them all the time, my success helps you in the long run, so we partner together. The larger the when Africa My Back continues to grow, then that means that my orders, they grow as well. That means more people you can employ. That means that your shop is larger. And so I think that we've gotten to a point. I've been working with one of the guys, it's been almost the 3 years, the full time, that he understands that, when I come in town, hey, I'm coming in town, he'll pick me up from the airport. We'll go to dinner. Like, we're talking about numbers. We're talking about, hey, did you think of this? Are you thinking about this? Oh, this is a new product that you should try. And so it's been 3 years and we're still going pretty strong. Again, making sure that I have more than one supplier. So I do have the more than the one guy, but he has been, my main person. He's been
Yeah, so
amazing.
you've been doing this. Yeah, that's very interesting and I think very insightful. And I guess that leads to my next question in regards to you mentioning that you've done this for 3 years. So I want to know what else do you have planned, I guess, in the future in terms of, I guess, your vision for the business. What would you like to see it actually become? And then I want to transition a little bit more to talk about your customers in the United States and their reaction to what you've done.
Yeah, yeah. So vision, I would like to, the goal is to be a multi-million dollar company that, has a 50 to 60 employees. I want our products in one of my favorite stores, which is Target. I would love for people to have access to just walk into a store and pick it up. And I want to also at some point have a small factory in Ghana. So, the makers are working independently now, but I think if there was a place where all of them could work together collaboratively, we'd be able to pump out more backpacks, we'd be able to pump out more products. And then I would have autonomy over my prints. So that's another thing. I want to be able to make sure that my prints are mine, to start, working with some of the textile companies in Ghana to create my own print, so that when you see when you see the backpack, oh, I know that's Africa on my back. And our social impact side is to be able to take boys to Ghana. And so this year we took 7 children, 5 of them were boys. We went over there in March, and I want that to continue to grow. So, every spring break and every summer, twice a year, I want to be taking, 10 to 15 boys, so that they can have the transformation that my son had.
What is your purpose, and what I guess what made your decision to focus specifically on boys, taking Black boys there?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Everybody asks me about that. And why not girls? And I say, being a mother of 2 boys, I've seen so much, right? So when I lived in Florida, I stayed maybe 15 minutes away from the place where Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. And I saw how I felt as a mother having 2 boys. And I've looked for, resources for boys specifically, mentors and programs, and they are far and few and in between. I mean, we have everything for girls. Black Girls Code, Black Girls Rock. Like, our girls are inundated with programs and these opportunities, and it's just not the same thing with our Black boys. Or if it is a program for boys, it's just a program for boys. It's not specifically geared to Black boys. And I'm a mother of 2 Black boys, right? And so I want to make sure that as we are preparing our girls and we're getting them ready, that our boys, the playing field is equal. And I tell parents all the time, your daughter is going to have somebody to marry, and you want him to be of good quality stock. And so that's why I think as we have to invest in our boys just as much as we invest in our girls. Like, it's a must. It is a must. And I know 2 programs that send girls on study abroad trips, specifically geared towards girls. I couldn't tell you one that was geared specifically for boys, besides, what we're doing.
So you have two sons. One is 18, the other is 12, I believe you said. Um, how would you feel if they decided to move to Ghana in Africa, or just Africa in general, then more specifically Ghana? What would that make you feel?
I would feel I'm all for it. We've had conversations. Actually, we had conversations of just going over there for 6 months and living. And so with this whole like virtual learning that's going on, it's like, oh, it just makes things that much easier because, we can go to school anywhere. And so my oldest son, he is at the age where it's like, I want to, I'm going off to college. I want to do this. I want to do this. My younger son is probably, if we go, it would probably more so him taking 6 months to travel the world. So I would love it. I'm all for it. I want to move
Have,
to.
that's great. Have you thought about them coming into the family business and what that would look like?
So they right now are working with me. They do a lot of the fulfillment and shipping and things like that. But it would be great, if I could have them as they get older come in. As a matter of fact, my oldest son, is thinking about going to college to do maritime, which is the shipping and logistics supply chain for the ports. And I thought about it. I was like, that plays right into the alley of shipping and logistics for Africa on my back, because because our orders are growing. We'll start using the port a little bit more. And so, you know, not sure what after 4 years would, if he decides that he still wants to do that, but he could be over logistics. So he could be over my supply chain for Africa on my back.
No, I love it. I love it. And you see that actually happen pretty often when I, talk to my very wealthy, I guess, Black friends who may come from generational wealth. They often go work for other corporations first to actually learn the business. So let's say you're in like the restaurant industry, you might go work for, I don't know, a McDonald's and a private equity firm before you actually come back and, actually manage the company or your family's restaurants. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. But no matter the industry, you kind of see that same path happen over and over again. So, your son going to work in logistics, at the port, and then one day taking over Africa on my back. I think that's an awesome strategy, and gets a playbook that's pretty much time tested as well. So, I want to talk a little bit about the customer too, though. So we talked a lot about the suppliers and the impact that your business had on suppliers, but let's talk about the demand side. Who is your customer? And then also, do you have any stories of, I guess, of your company's impact on their lives and well-being?
So my customer, Black women between the ages of 25 to 45. That's our customer base. Like, those women rock with us heavy. And a lot of them are mothers, a lot of them are in the education space. And so once they find out, not only are we an accessories brand, but they find out about the social impact side, like, that just seals the deal. That typically will seal the deal for them. Um, what was your other question? Just the impact or some
Yeah,
stories
the
that.
impact. Yeah. So like the impact on, do parents ever share their stories in regards to how your backpacks has helped their children, in school, their life, that type of thing?
So I have a ton of reviews from people who are so pleased that they have something authentic from the motherland. We have parents who are just like, how can I send my children on the next trip? How can I get my boys to go on the next trip to Ghana? I want them to have a similar experience. And so we take those, and that's really what keeps us going. So when things are tough, it's like, okay, so mothers see that I've taken my sons, and now they're open to the possibility, of taking their children, which is fantastic. Customers who will say, I have so much pride when I walk into a meeting and I have your laptop case. I don't have to say anything. People know that it's African, so they know where I stand. And I'm like, that's it. You don't have to be boisterous. Your accessory does the talking for you. It even really makes for community, because I've heard of people being at airports. A lot of people use their backpack to travel. And so I've heard of people being at airports and, oh, is that Africa on my back? Yeah, that's Africa. And then there's a whole conversation that gets started. And those are the stories. I'm like, oh, so people will recognize that you're not even from the same place, but you know that that's Africa on my back, and you spark up a conversation because you know that you have something in common with this person, right? And that is what I really enjoy hearing. We just came out with ties for guys. And guys, one of our customers sent some pictures, and he was like at a formal gathering, a formal event. He had on his tie, and he was just like, he had a tie and a mask, because we started manufacturing masks, and he was so proud. He was so very proud. And so that is what the aim is, for people to be proud. you know. And so when we came up, when I was thinking of names and it was, Africa on my back, it was because I don't it's not it's more than just the backpack or the accessory, right? It's not just you carrying the backpack on your back, it's you carrying the continent and the ancestors. You're always thinking about what can I be doing to improve them and myself. Like, how can I continue to become my ancestors' wildest dreams? Like, what does it look like if I did go back to the continent? What could I be doing? So it's this constant reminder of, it's not just about you, it's about a whole race of people who are dependent on you to do your best so that we all progress.
No, I love it. I love it. And I think, that's proud. That's the first word that comes to my mind, I guess, when I think of Africa on my back. And I'm glad that you actually brought that up in terms of, us being proud of, who we actually are as people, and just taking that history before slavery and bringing it back up to the resurgence of American thought and culture, and especially of, Black people in the United States, thought and culture as well. But everyone, I'm here with Shannette Prince. Shannette is the founder and CEO of Africa on My Back, a socially conscious fashion brand that provides African print backpacks and accessories and study abroad opportunities to two brilliant Black boys. You can find out more about her company at africaonmyback.com. That's africaonmyback.com. And we're talking about, Africa on My Back and how she started this awesome company as well. So if you like this interview, please go ahead and press the thumbs up button, show us some love. Please share and subscribe to the Black Financial Channel if you'd like to receive more financial content like the content that we've been producing here today with Shannette. So Shannette, in this last segment, can you tell the audience how they can get in touch with you, your brand, and if they have any questions, who should they be contacting?
They can contact me. Our social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, um, all of it, across all of those platforms. We are at Africa on My Back. Our website is africaonmyback.com. You can email us at support@africaonmyback.com. We reply to our customers all the time. We reshare what they post. Like, we're really, there's something about, I think, staying small, and then of course, like, you always want to scale, but the hands on connection that we have with our customers is really, really important to me, because I want for people to know that, to me, what I did was not extraordinary, right? I wanted to travel to the continent. I traveled to the continent and I found something that was meaningful for me. And I think that that's something that we can all do in our lives. You find that thing that you are passionate about, and work it. And that's what I've been able to do. And so I am passionate about Black boys. I am passionate about making sure that, we know about the true story of Africa, and now we have a company that's doing just that, sending boys on study abroad trips and providing authentic accessories and helping our sisters and brothers on the continent.
Love it, love it. So to close out this interview, I have 5 rapid fire questions for you, and just answer with, I guess, the first word or phrase that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Number 1, what is your favorite business book of all time?
Fix This Next.
Fix This Next, and that is by, do you know the name of the author?
Mike McCowitz.
So Mike McCallowis. We've been getting a lot of Mike McCallowis lately on here, whether that Profit First or Clockwork. A lot of people have been talking about it. Number 2, are there any CEOs or companies that you're currently following that you would like to, I guess, emulate as a part of what you do with your company?
There's one, Sassy Jones is one that comes to mind. Like, I just love everything that she does. Sharice Jones is the owner of that, but Sassy Jones Accessories brand, like, it's just a phenomenal brand. And the recognition that they, like, if you know a Sassy Jones piece, right? Like, you want to be in the Sassy Jones secret society, and I would love for people to want to be like that with Africa on My Back.
All right. Number 3, who is your favorite historical figure from Black history?
Ooh, that's a good one. There's so many. Oh my gosh, Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey. We get a lot of Marcus Garveys in these
Really?
Black finance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for our audience, the top 3 are, let's see, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and Harriet Tubman. So those 3.
Okay.
So you're the right crew. That's basically what I'm saying. Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get at night?
Oh gosh. I'm getting about 5 to 6.
Okay, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. But it's not, of course, not the best, but it's not terrible. The last question: if you can go back in time and give advice to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Oh my gosh. Buy property in college while it was still accessible. So I graduated from Texas Southern University, and the property in our area in Third Ward, the area is now being gentrified. And so I always think about if I would have bought property 20 years ago when I was in college, oh my gosh, like I'd be set because the prices around here now are just astronomical.
Yeah, and I'm actually moving to Houston next year, so uh-oh. Yeah. Next summer we'll be back in Houston, or we'll be in Houston, but that's another story for another day. So. All right. Well, Shannette, we are done with this interview. So thank you so much for your time. And everyone, please go ahead and check out africaonmyback.com. That is africaonmyback.com. Check out what Shannette has to offer. It's back to school time. So if you're looking for backpacks, fanny packs, and other types of accessories, please make sure you check her out. Yeah, thanks to everyone. Before you get out of here, please make sure you press the thumbs up button, share, subscribe to the Black Financial Channel as well. So on behalf of Shannette Prince, my name is Lawrence Watkins. You all take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. All right, bye-bye.